Forget that. Okay. So our speaker today is Captain and Division Commander at the Fauquier County Sheriff's Office with over 29 years of experience leading public safety operations in patrol, investigations, school safety, and community engagement. Captain Kiernan leads community engagement initiatives, oversees peer support and crisis negotiation teams, and manages multi-unit operations. She previously served for over 2 decades with the Fairfax County Police Department in progressively responsible leadership roles, including criminal investigations and internal affairs, and is an FBI National Academy graduate. She's passionate about building trust through transparency, innovation, and compassionate leadership values she has carried from the street to the command staff. And we're very grateful to have her join us today to talk about Project Lifesaver, what it is and how does it work. And I will just add briefly that Aging Together has been a supporter of Project Lifesaver um, with Fauquier County. It's been a couple of years now, um, but
Recorded.
um, and also in Culpeper County. So a lot of people are
So
confused about
a
what it
lot of
is. So
people are
hopefully we'll be
confused
able
about what
to
it is, so hopefully
clarify
we'll be
that.
able to clarify that.
Let's see. Okay. I had a little bit of an echo there, and I think I fixed it. So without any further ado, I will turn it over to Captain Christy Kiernan. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. The Project Lifesaver program is something that's near and dear to my heart. I have been with the Fauquier County Sheriff's Office since 2018, and in 2019, I was asked if I would like to participate in the Project Lifesaver program. Um, Basically, what the Project Lifesaver program is it is a peace of mind for members of our community that have family members or loved ones that may wander. And so that can mean Alzheimer's or dementia, um, kids that have uh, eight, not ADD, it's I don't know why I'm drawing a
Autism,
blank.
autism.
Autism, thank you so much. I just gave another presentation this morning and I was like, wait, yes, so it's children with autism, cerebral palsy, and just basically anybody that has a cognitive disability that wanders. Um, and it's a very simplistic program. It does not run off of GPS or Wi-Fi signals or anything like that. Because as in a county the size of Fauquier, there are places within the county that you just don't get good Wi-Fi signal. And GPS doesn't work that great in certain areas of the county. So basically, the Project Lifesaver program was discovered or created back in the 1990s by a police chief in the Chesapeake area. Chief Saunders, I believe is his name. And what he aimed to do was to bring people together with their loved ones when they walked away. So he created this very simplistic, and I'm gonna pull these pieces of this band together so that you can see what actually goes into a Project Lifesaver bracelet. Um, but he created this system where there is a tracker. So it is it's a little transmitter, okay? So it's something this small, like the size of a battery, but very small. And each one of them has a number on it. And I don't know if the number looks backwards or not to you, but there's a number on each one of these transmitters. And it goes into a housing that looks like this. It can be blue or yellow, or we have pink ones, white ones. And this transmitter goes inside the housing, and then we put a battery this size into it. Okay. And I'm going to put one together for you real quick and show you what it looks like. because this is what we do with anybody that signs up for the program. They get a band. Oh, let me get my I'm working in limited space here, so um just put this together for you real quick. But what it does is it transmits a signal as long as the battery is in there. It'll transmit a signal and okay, I have the battery checker here. We have what a receiver, and each one of the transmitters that I showed you that number we can put into this is our tracking device. You can see the antennas that are on it. And then on the back of this device, you can see here there's a place to put numbers in. So all of our transmitters that get assigned to our agency start with 216. That was a frequency that was set up for us. And then each one of our transmitters have those latter three numbers that we would put into our system here. So once those three numbers go in here, we can turn on our machine. Let me find where to turn on the machine. Right here. And then we would be able to track somebody based on the frequency that's being put out. And I'm going to show you how that works here real quick as I put this together. Any questions on it so far from anybody?
I guess I've heard different things about the radius. So how far will it track?
So we are able to track on foot up to a mile.
Okay.
We are trying to we have drones. We have a very robust drone program here in Fauquier County, and we have numerous drone operators, and they do an amazing job. Um, but what we're trying to do is get a Project Lifesaver drone where we can have the same equipment or very similar equipment to where we can put it up in the sky and help us locate people. So
What a
we've
great
had very good
idea.
success. We've got about 23 clients in Fauquier County right now. Um,
That's great. Are those mostly older adults with
yes,
Alzheimer's, or is it it is mostly, yeah.
they're mostly older adults. We have several um, kids with autism that are in the program and a couple that have cerebral palsy, but they are
Mhm.
just people that wander.
Yeah.
So I've put the transmitter into this casing, and then we would have a band that we could put on it so that you would wear it like a watch. Okay. Um,
And if folks have questions too that they want to put in the chat, go ahead and I can read those out. Or just, come off mute and ask your
mhm.
questions to Captain Kieran. Thanks. I didn't mean to sort of
Oh, no
monopolize the
problem at all.
questions there. Yeah.
No problem at all. Um, so the batteries that are in the bracelet are 60-day batteries. We ask the caretakers when someone is signed up for the program, we ask them to check the batteries daily, and we give this little battery checker. And when I have a good battery in here, I don't know if you could see that little red light blinking.
Yes.
This shows that the battery is working. So that is provided um, so that they can check every day. So that if someone went missing, we'd be able to put their, I think it was 276 on here. I can put it into my uh, thing, and I'm going to do that real quick so because I want you to hear what we hear when we're actually looking for someone. 276. And that's on 216. So can you hear that boop?
Yes.
That's because this is right here in front of me. And this is what we would hear if we are going out to look for somebody. If I switch this number up, that number went away. That sound went away. But I'll put it back to the right number. And now I've got that sound again. Okay, I won't have you have to listen to that sound for very long because but so basically what we do is we have someone wear this on their wrist or their ankle. We have one client in particular. Some of these bands, this is vinyl, and then we have nylon for people that um, might be able to pull this apart, the vinyl. We have the nylon bands, which are a little bit harder to get off, but we have to put that one on his ankle because he will break it by hitting something if it's on his wrist. And sometimes we have older people that will see it and they will go, what is this for? And then cut it off.
Is
But
there used to be something I thought that you could put like in the shoe, or maybe that can fit as well.
so so people have like air tags and things like that they
Mhm.
use. The problem with the air tag is that it runs off GPS.
Ah,
So these are not GPS. These
right.
are again just a transmitter, a transmitted signal, which makes A, it's simplified, and B, it's unless you don't change the battery like you're supposed to, um, it's a no-fail system. So we don't have
Right.
to rely on the GPS or the Wi-Fi in order to be
Right.
able to locate somebody. We had a case, it was in February of 2023. A gentleman was, he had dementia. He wandered out of the house somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty cold outside. And he had his Project Lifesaver bracelet on. Um, we have bloodhounds, we have drones, we have our Project Lifesaver. And if someone is enrolled in the program, then we're obviously able to bring our equipment out and start looking. So the bloodhound got to the house a couple minutes before we did. It's right now it's myself and Sergeant Justin Welch who operate the equipment and sign up clients for the program, which is free of charge. We are on donations only, for the most part. The sheriff's office, from time to time, if we have a client and we don't have the funds in our account, we'll make sure that all residents have access to the program, if needed, because we don't want somebody not being able to become a member of the program because the fee was too high. So we don't have a fee at all. Anybody and everybody can be in the program as long as they qualify, which is again somebody with cognitive disabilities that wander.
Well, that kind of addresses, sorry to interrupt, but
Sure.
one of the questions in the chat has to do with, how do family members get their loved ones registered? So that kind of ties in a little bit with
Sure.
what you're talking
So
about.
so they can either contact me, and I can provide my email address, or Sergeant Justin Welch. We are both the program coordinators, and we can send out the information. It's not a long application process, but we have to have certain details about the loved one and whether or not they've been diagnosed with a cognitive disability. Because we are limited with the amount of supplies that we have, we want to make sure that there is a diagnosis of the disability.
And you
Um,
cover specifically Fauquier County.
Yes, we do cover
Mhm.
Fauquier County. I believe the Culpeper Sheriff's Office has the
Yes,
Project Lifesaver
they
program as
do.
well.
Yes, they
Most
do. And
jurisdictions around,
Orange
yes,
does as
yes.
well. Yes,
Most
yeah.
jurisdictions around the area have Project Lifesaver. Fairfax County does, Prince William County does, Loudoun County, and then you've just named these other jurisdictions. They're all touching Fauquier County. It's actually a national program. Not every jurisdiction in every state has the program, but it's significant enough that if you were to go to, let's say, Disney World, they have their own Project Lifesaver program. So you would want to make sure that when you went to Disney World, you had that transmitter number with you. So if your loved one wandered off at Disney, you could find somebody and say, my son is on Project Lifesaver. This is his transmitter number, and they can put it in their equipment and go look for him. So that's kind of the beauty of the program itself, is that if you're visiting Manassas Mall and your loved one wanders away, you have the resource. The sheriff's office there has the Project Lifesaver program. They can help locate your loved one. Um, so this case that we had, where the gentleman wandered out probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, his wife didn't realize he was missing until about 5 in the morning. At which point she contacted the sheriff's office, and we had, again, a bloodhound on the scene, myself, Sergeant Welch, and one of our other trained sergeants showed up. And we immediately put his number into our transmitters, or into our receivers, and we were able to locate him within a half hour of our arrival. He had fallen on the ground. It was cold out. And something else that we have, I'm going to show you, which helped us in locating him, is we have thermal heat seekers, which is part of our kit. So each one of us that does the Project Lifesaver program, we have a kit, and in it there's water. There is like a snack in there in case we find somebody that maybe they've got diabetes or just need something to eat. We have a rescue blanket. Um, this is another like rescue blanket type of thing. We've got tourniquets. We've got all kinds of things in here, but one of my favorite things is the thermal heat seeker. Um, so obviously, when we're using our equipment, we're looking for people, and people aren't small. So in the dark, we can listen for a beep, and we can go in the direction of the beep. But if it's dark outside and we're trying to locate a person, we have a thermal heat seeker. So we can turn the heat seeker on, and it'll might be hard to show you. We have they're called the Reveal Pro heat seeker. And so on that day, so we can, I don't know if it'll show you, you can kind of, it's hard to show you on this screen, but basically what we did on that day was Sergeant Welch had the heat seeker. I had the receiver, and we were getting a beep coming from one location. So we started heading in that direction, and as Sergeant Welch was using the heat seeker, he goes, "Hey, I've got a heat source up here. It's a little bit of a heat source, but it's a heat source." And it was pitch black. So we start towards the heat source, and there, in fact, is where we found the gentleman. Um, we were very glad we saw a heat source, because it was cold that day, and we were afraid that it wasn't going to be a good result. Ultimately, it was a great result. We found him. He went to the hospital for a couple hours just to make sure he didn't have hypothermia, and then he was returned home. So that is one of the tools that we have in our kit that helps us, and is actually amazing. So
That's incredible. Yeah, that's a
yes,
great result. Yeah. There is another question on the chat.
sure.
Can you wear it on a belt loop or shoe? Or is it just the watch?
So really, we would want somebody to wear it, because if they take their belt off or they leave their shoes, because a lot of times they leave without their shoes, um, then they won't have it with
Yeah.
them. So we really need them to wear it. Sometimes people just won't wear it, and it may not be a good fit for the program because they refuse to wear it. Um, so the program itself is not for everybody. It's for those that we know will be able to wear the band. Now, there's been a couple clients that didn't want to wear the band at first when we went out and we met with them. And then I noticed they have a dog. And I go, well, this device right here, if your dog goes missing, this will help us find the dog. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they want to wear it. And then sometimes they have to be reminded to wear it, but they'll wear it because it's a lot of times people with dementia become somewhat paranoid. And so they're like, well, what's this for? Why do you have this? I remember dealing with this with my mom when she had dementia before she passed. And so she was suspicious of everything. What's that in the corner over there? What's this? And so with this, we're really making sure we tell them, well, this is to be helpful. This is going to help find your cat if it runs away, or things like that. Um, but if there's somebody that's like, no, I know my loved one's not going to wear it, then it's just not going to be a good fit for the program.
Right.
So were there any other questions on that?
Um, does anybody have any other questions? I think that was everything in the chat. Thank you for posting. Deputy Ron Kestner is the coordinator in Orange County. And in a minute, I'll go ahead and put up the information for Culpeper County as well. They do have they've just launched their triad program in Culpeper,
Uh-huh.
and they do have the Project Lifesaver program as well. And yeah, it is interesting how I didn't realize that uh, it was General Saunders in the
Yes.
1990s.
Yes.
You were saying, and it's funny. I remember all those years ago when I was at the Alzheimer's Association,
Hmm.
going to meetings in Richmond about
Yes.
Project Lifesaver, and it's really taken off, as you say, across the country now.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that it is transferable. So I think that's really important information, that even though you might be part of that program in Fauquier County,
Hmm.
if you go somewhere else and they have it, you can plug in that number.
Yes. And so we've actually found that there's been I think two times where somebody was found in Warrenton wearing a Project Lifesaver band, but it wasn't one of ours because there's a couple different types. There's like the round 60-day transmitter, and then there's an oval 60-day transmitter. And so this particular person had a band, and we're like, we've never seen this one before. So we took it off and then we cracked it open. It had a different uh, backing to it. So we cracked it open and then we found where it came from by calling Project Lifesaver and who's got this number and this and that. And then we were able to find out that this person had moved here and had not transferred their Project Lifesaver over to their new jurisdiction. But Town of Warrenton maintains a program, Fauquier County, and like I said, Prince William, Loudoun, Fairfax. Um, so traveling, there's no worries for the most part if your loved one walks away at Bucky's, in Stafford. I believe they have a program as well. So they would be able to deploy their equipment. And as long as, like I said, as long as the battery is changed, and we come out every 60 days to change the batteries, and we provide the batteries. Um, the average setup for a person for a year, which would include the housing, a battery, the transmitter, um, several bands. Um, I think it's 6 batteries goes with it because you only have to change them every 60 days. They send a lube with it so that it makes the band so it's not necessarily waterproof, but water resistant. So you can go in the bathtub, you can um, take a shower, you can swim, maybe not for a long period of time. You don't want to submerge this in water if you don't have to, but again, showering, bathing, stuff like that is fine. I can tell you, I had one of these transmitters. We had run out of transmitters, and I found one rusty one in there that a child had gone swimming with, and the water had gotten to, and it rusted. And I said, I'm going to try this transmitter and see if it works. And it worked. So it was still a little rusty, but
Oh,
it still worked. But each one of these kits for a year is about $300. Each one of these transmit receivers with the antennas and this, yeah, so it's pretty long. It's got all these antennas here. These are about, I think they're somewhere in the range of, depending on which one you get, is about $2,000. And we currently have, I believe, 3, and we're trying to get a couple more. And each jurisdiction will have their own number of these. We are putting a class together right now where we're getting more of our deputies trained on it. So the
right.
program itself,
I was gonna ask you that, Captain Kieran. Yeah,
sure.
what are your current needs in terms of, funds for the program? And you mentioned the receiver, but obviously not charging families is really so critical because
Yes.
it must be, for a lot of people, it would be a hardship.
Yes.
Um,
And
and yeah,
yeah, that was the biggest thing for us, is making sure that, and I'm sure that most of the other jurisdictions are the same. There there might be a jurisdiction somewhere, I just am not aware, that charges a fee for the program. I know that Fairfax County Sheriff's Office back in the day had a waiting list to get into the Project Lifesaver program. We don't want there to be a waiting list. We want there to be um, enough funds that if somebody comes along and they need to be in the program and are willing to be in the program, that we are able to provide that. Um, so we've been fortunate that we've had donations that come in from people that have either had loved ones in the program and they may have passed, and they say thank you so much for giving us the peace of mind. They'll send us a check for $300 for one person to be
um,
equipped for the year. We, like I said, we currently have 23 people enrolled in the program here. I've got someone that, see, I'm looking at my calendar. Thursday, I go to sign up another person. And I've got a couple other people that I've sent applications to, and I'm waiting to get back. So, um, our program's growing, and we're very, very excited about that. It's just a matter of making sure that we have the funds to purchase all of the equipment that we need to keep it up and running.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, we'll see. Aging together, maybe we'll be able to help support that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
but
sure. The website, I don't know if anybody's looked at the website, is projectlifesaver.org, and it'll show you, in the country, there's been like 4,547 rescues nationwide, by using Project Lifesaver. In our county, we've had 2 people enrolled in the program go missing, and we've found both of those people. One of the and a third Project Lifesaver client that went missing, before we were able to get there, our drone team located them. So Project Lifesaver is not going to be the be all end all get all, but working in conjunction with, we have bloodhounds, we have drones, and then we have the Project Lifesaver program. If one fails, the other one is there. So we all work together and find people, and it's been very, very rewarding. Um, and again,
yes,
it's peace of
yeah.
mind to the families,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. So there are a couple of comments in the chat. I'll
Sure.
just take a moment and from Mary, for what it's worth, asked ChatGPT for a list of the counties in Virginia. And it did give a list, but it did not include Culpeper. So she told it to add Culpeper there. So hopefully we have a decent list of the counties in Virginia that offer it.
Yes.
And she says, what a great product. And then from Ursula, this is an absolute blessing, especially to informal caregivers, care partners. Oftentimes, caregivers are faced with financial stress on top of the caring for their loved ones. So, yes, absolutely.
And with our Project Lifesaver program, we are not just here to go, okay, here's a band and call us if you need us. We will actually give some suggestions, and I'm sure the people that are on here that are with other jurisdictions, Project Lifesaver programs, um, we've been to houses where we do the band, and they're like, well, what if I'm not home or I'm out in the field? Because Fauquier County, we have big, wide open space. What if I'm out in the field and he walks out of the front door and I didn't see what he was wearing or whatever. So we'll make suggestions like maybe have a ring camera or the whatever the other kind of cameras are. Have a camera on the house that's attached to your phone. Maybe it alerts to you when they walk out. Um, Maybe have alerts on the door so that when they open the door, you hear that little ringing noise or the beep. Some people aren't able to do those things themselves, so we will help with that. If they can purchase the supplies, we'll go out and we'll help them install because we know not everybody can do that. So the blink cameras, the ring cameras, and all of those things. So we'll offer suggestions. We like to go out and make sure that pretty much the same people are going out to change the batteries so that their loved ones become familiar with us. We have one client who's in his 20s. He's autistic, severely autistic. He's nonverbal, and he is a grabber. So I think the first time I went to change his battery, I was by myself. I was scared to death because I have a gun on and I'm wearing all this stuff, and I was not told by the person that was doing it before me that he will grab at you. So I'm like, whoop, like, whoa,
Wow.
whoa. And I'm trying to get this battery, I'm trying to get the band off of him, and I'm trying to make sure he's not grabbing my gun and all of these things. So I said, you know what? This is a two-man job. So we will have somebody who's kind of talking and distracting over here. He wears it on his ankle. He's able to cut it off, get that change, put back on real quick while we're distracting over here. Works out great. But I can tell you I was petrified because I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is because I don't want to hurt this person, but I can't let him have access to my gun and I can't do this. And so we get to know our clients and
Yeah.
then we know how best to handle the situation when we get there.
Well,
So
a lot of people, people may or may not realize that what we know about Alzheimer's, we know that 60% of people with Alzheimer's disease will wander and become lost at some point.
mhm,
And we also know that just because a person with living with Alzheimer's disease hasn't wandered, doesn't mean they won't.
right.
So a lot of times, I can't tell you how many times I've heard families say, "Oh yeah, no, he doesn't wander."
Hmm.
Well, yet is what you want to say is yet because we just don't know.
Right.
And even when we think so, so there is a lot of awareness and education as well. I think that's important to for the family caregivers as well.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
so on our team, and I'm sure it's probably the same with most of the teams in the other jurisdictions, we will go to the Project Lifesaver. At least one of us will go to the Project Lifesaver conference each year, and where we'll learn more things about, you know, people that have dementia or Alzheimer's or autism, um, and we're constantly learning so that we know how to deal with people suffering from these cognitive disabilities. And we want to make sure that other members of our sheriff's office know the same. I can tell you, not everybody knows. When we found one of our clients who had gone missing, he was in a car and he was more combative than many of the other patients and clients that we've dealt with. And he was combative. And the deputy that began talking to him wasn't used to that. And so he's going, well, sir, da da da. And working with a 20-year-old, that might work, but not with this particular client. And so we were able to go, hold on, hold on, hold on. We know this guy. Let us help him. And so we're constantly trying to make sure that we're teaching our deputies um, about the condition and the disease so that they are more aware of how to deal with people.
And actually, that's another thing, Captain Kiernan, that aging together can help and support. We can come in, we have folks that can come in and, do specific dementia training
Hmm.
as well, and
Okay.
education and awareness. So yeah, just put that out there, because that is really, I think it's a really key point that you make, that communication.
Yes.
It doesn't, it's not intuitive, really. It isn't. And you do have to learn those techniques to kind of de-escalate and understand how to de-escalate a potential situation. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of that is just about understanding, about the disease and how the impact on the brain, and you
Yes.
know how a lot of people don't understand that the behaviors that we sometimes see, it's really because that's the only way that person has of communicating their needs. And so
Yes.
to us, it might seem like a challenge or
Hmm.
a problem, but for them, it's their way of communicating.
I've so my mother, when she lived with me and she had dementia, she would call me names, and she would in for anybody looking from the outside, they would go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe she just said that to you." I mean, she would just call me all kinds of names, but I was her primary caretaker. And so she was frustrated, I think, with the situation that she was in and didn't know what other words to use. So she was just being mean, what anybody else would say is mean. So my sister is there one day and she's like, Mom, you can't talk to her like that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. This is the only way she can show her frustration. She doesn't know
Mm,
any other way. And she's trying to communicate. She just can't come up with the words.
yes,
And so it's really interesting. If you don't know that, then you're just like, my gosh, this person's so mean. I can't
right.
believe she's talking like that. So it is interesting.
Yeah. We have a couple of comments in the
Sure.
chat. I'll go ahead and read them out. I did post the Culpeper County Project Lifesaver. There's a link to their Project Lifesaver page for those who are asking. And then Mary says, I've tried using a tile, but that's a problem because you need a Wi-Fi and our area is rural. The bigger problem is getting them to wear something on their wrist. I love the idea that it helps you find your dog or cat. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's a great strategy. Many people would wear to help someone else, like their pet, or maybe it will help us connect you to your wife in case she gets lost. So that's
Mhm.
a great idea too.
Right.
So many wanderers don't understand they need it, but would respond to, for helping someone else. So
Right.
those are great strategies there. Yeah, really good ideas. Um, Ursula says the situation with the autistic gentleman is opportunity for growing and learning. Perhaps engaging with organizations like Project Spectrum would help. And Ursula, maybe you can put that information in the chat because I'm
Hmm.
not sure how we connect to Project Spectrum. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
And then she also says, as a caregiver, we know that it's not the person, it's the
Hmm.
disease. Yes. Thank you
Right.
for that reminder. Yes. And are there any other questions or comments right now, either for the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself and ask? I mean, I will say, I have been involved, I've been aware and involved with this program for a long time, but I will say, Captain Kiernan, that I have never, in all my years doing this, I've never seen all the different pieces that you showed us.
Hmm.
And exactly how they worked. And that was like so helpful. That was just wonderful to see that.
Well, I'm
So,
glad.
yeah,
I
thank
feel
you.
like if people see all that goes into it, then it kind of makes more sense. And because a lot of times when people contact me for Project Lifesaver, they'll ask, well, are you going to track them? No, we don't track anybody. We don't have anything in the system that shows where they're exactly going. That's the most basic transmitter and receiver, and it transmits a signal, and we pick up the signal, but we have no idea where exactly they're going. The AirTag, that was a good comment because I remember I sent an AirTag with my daughter the first time she went with her dad after divorce. And I had an AirTag with her and it started beeping because it was away from my phone. Now it would contact whoever had the nearest iPhone that there was an AirTag in it. And so then her father's going, well, why do you have an AirTag in your bag? Why, and that was just so that I knew what location she was going to. So I was like, well, that AirTag, it's a cute idea, but if it's alerting to every other
All right.
iPhone around that there's an AirTag close by, it doesn't really do a lot for
It's
us.
it's not that's
So,
not very helpful. Yeah.
no.
No,
Um,
no. Oh God, gosh.
but
Yeah.
I can tell you it's a great program. We've had, like I said, really good success with it. Um, that third person that went missing that we used our drone team to locate, he was a Project Lifesaver client. The wife was supposed to be checking the battery every day and looking for that blinking dot, and she didn't. So the battery had died. I mean, it's a technology, so it's bound to fail. And she never contacted us that it needed to be changed. So we would have located him, but his battery was dead, so it wasn't transmitting the signal. But fortunately, we had the drone team. He was out in a soybean field. So we had to get like a gator from the fire department and drove out there and got him. He had walked, I don't know how he walked out into this field without tripping and falling. Because like you were saying, it was kind of to your point. You go, no, they're not going to wander. No, but I mean, he's walked out to the
Yeah.
mailbox before, but he's not going to go any farther than that. Well, no, I mean, he made it through a soybean field, through a patch of woods with sticker bushes and everything, and somehow he didn't fall and get tangled up in them. And so it was just a matter of getting him out of the soybean field. Um, so we were very fortunate with him as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, with having the bloodhounds and the drones and then the Project Lifesaver equipment, what we're really like I said, trying to do is get a drone that has the Project Lifesaver equipment on it so that we can do a little bit more than a mile, right?
Yes. I
Um,
think that yes,
we
that
do
makes yeah.
have we do have an antenna that we can put on top of the car and we can drive around and it attaches to our receiver. And we could drive around and try to
Oh,
locate
oh wow.
that signal. But if we had a drone that we could put up just like we do with the other ones that can see on the ground, that could see kind of thermally, but also have that Project Lifesaver um, receiver attached to it, then I think we would do really well. So we're going to try to save up money for one of those at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's really such kind of a no-brainer, right? It
Yes.
is. It really is. It's kind of a no-brainer. And it's, just how many lives can be saved. And unfortunately, in our region, we have had, not in Fauquier County, but close by, we've had some tragedies in recent years. And it's just terrible to think of that.
Hmm.
And so it's really such a great program. We have a
Yeah,
couple of more comments
sure.
that came up in the chat. Um, Somebody here says, have so many wanderers get into situations and they wonder My goodness, how either because of their mobility or or the barriers. So
Hmm.
yeah, to your
Yeah.
point, it's like, wow, how did they manage to do that? And then from Mary, this is so much better than a tile. In rural areas, it's so difficult to have a way to find someone. Thanks for doing this. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Absolutely. No, it's one of my passions, and Sergeant Justin Welch, it's one of his passions as well. He just recently went to the Project Lifesaver conference. They have it every August, and he comes back with new and fresh ideas, and he just came back as a trainer for the Project Lifesaver equipment. So we've got 5 new deputies that are going to get trained up on it, which means we're going to be looking to get more equipment for them so they can take it home with them. Having all the equipment in a centralized location it's okay, but if we each have our individual equipment, we can respond from our homes and get there a lot quicker and start
yeah.
working to locate people. So it's really a team effort, and it's very, very rewarding, especially when you find them and you're like, you know what, if this guy had been out here just a little bit longer, we may not have had a positive outcome.
Right.
With the caretakers, it's really important. I mean, just like with a child, you turn your back for 1 second and they're gone. Like you're like, I'm just gonna go make a sandwich. And as you're making this sandwich, and it's peanut butter and jelly, it's a simple sandwich, and you turn around and then they're gone. You're like, wait, where did they go? Well, then they've slipped off into the woods or wherever, and now you're out looking around, can't find them. The most important thing is after you've made that quick cursory check, call us because then we can get our equipment and we can start heading out there. The sooner we get notified,
Yeah.
we're not holding it against anybody that their loved one walked away. That's exactly why we have Project Lifesaver. But the quicker we find out, the quicker we can deploy and the quicker we can find them.
Well, just thank you so much. You can see your passion for it, and it really shows through. And it really is such a great program. And you just did such a great job too of explaining what it is. And like I said, I have never seen, all those different parts, the technical parts, and how they really all work together. So, yeah, thank you, bravo, thank you.
Oh,
People are clapping,
thank you.
but also I want to make sure that in the last few minutes that we have here that any other additional comments or questions, we'll just open it up and go ahead and unmute yourselves or put something in the chat. We'll just hang on a minute here and give everybody an opportunity who wants to ask or share.
Sure. While we're waiting for anybody that's going to pop up there, I just became the chair of our Fauquier Triad.
Oh,
So very
wonderful.
excited about that also. My uh, One of my biggest passions is the elderly and our senior population. So um, I just had a presentation earlier today on scams and frauds on the internet. And if there's any particular group out there, I know that I think Culpeper has a triad, Orange has a triad. There's a bunch of triads in different
Mhm.
jurisdictions. But if there's anybody in Fauquier that hasn't been to a triad meeting yet that wants to attend, our next one is December 3rd in Warrenton. And if we exchange emails, I can get that information out. We had a great crowd today. And my next one's going to be kind of a holiday themed uh, party to go over more scams and things. So,
That's great. Yeah, Anna Rogers is our representative from Aging Together for
okay.
those. Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. How can we get this in Madison and Green?
I
Great
think
question.
I
Yep.
think you just go to the website, which is projectlifesaver.org, and I think through your sheriff's office, or even a police department, if you have a small police department there, you should be able to uh, find out how to sign up from the website. And
And
if
we
if
can
you have
certainly,
issues with it, I can I can try to help with that
Thank,
too.
thank you. Yes. And I think, this, if it takes, if it takes a small committee or a task force or something to help get that started, aging together, teams in each of the counties might be able to help facilitate that. So yeah, we can
Right.
all work together to try to get this in some of the counties where it's maybe not existing currently.
Hmm.
Find out what the barriers are and
Yeah.
take, to kind of take it from there. Oh yeah, thank you, Ursula, for the link there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
the website is very interactive. It provides a lot of information. I think Ursula is looking it up and there's a lot of information there. So take a look at it. And like I said, if anybody is trying to get it started in their county and is having problems with it, I don't have any issues with trying to help get that started.
Wonderful. Appreciate that very much.
Sure.
Yes. Great. Well, thank you so, so much. That was really excellent. And I'm so glad I remembered to hit record because my team would kill me if I had forgotten. But not only that, it's such great information so that we'll be able to put this presentation up on our website for folks as well that maybe weren't able to be here today. So thanks everybody for joining us. Oh, thank you. There's your contact email,
Yes,
Christy Kiernan. And thanks everybody for being here today. And thanks for all the great work you're doing, Christy. And
I
keep it
appreciate
up.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And if you guys need anything about anything, um, Triad or Project Lifesaver related, please reach out at my email. Thanks so much for letting me present.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
so much.
you.
All right.
All right. Take
Yes.
care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.